You've brought up the issue of violence in the African American community. The figures are dismal, aren't they? Professor Orlando Patterson from Harvard University gives some pretty stark figures, and I'm sure you'll agree with. African Americans, 13% of the US population, but they commit 50% of homicides. 80% of homicides are black on black men killing other black men. African Americans are imprisoned at 8 times the rate of whites, and 1 in 3 blacks has a prison record. What's going wrong in the African American community?
When you look at the level of education, when you look at poverty, when you look at health, when you look at jobs and skills, and the opportunity for someone to self-sustain, poverty should never be an excuse for people to commit crime or be engaged in violence. But it is absolutely one of the contributing factors to a circumstance that for some will leave them thinking that they have no other alternative but to engage with other people in that way. Now, again, that's not an excuse, but it's a part of an explanation of what is going on.
Because not all poor and unemployed people resort to violence.
Of course not. The overwhelming majority of poor or unemployed people, black or white, Latino or Asian, are not engaged in crime. The vast majority of Americans are law-abiding citizens. There's no question about it. So what you usually have in most cities in the country is a relatively small group of people creating a significant amount of havoc in their locales. And again, policing is a component of it, but the police department is not the all-in solution to violence in America.
Right.
We should be investing more in education and job training programs. We should not be cutting the community development block grant program. We should have a transportation bill that lasts more than 6 months or a year or 2. That's about jobs. When people are educated and can get a job, they're not involved in violence. They're not involved in crime because they're too busy working.
Of course, the kind of figures you refer to, for instance, in September this year, the national unemployment rate in the United States was 7%, but for African Americans it was nearly double that at 13%. But talking about this small group of people, you say, in the African American community who are responsible for the violence, take the flash mobs, which we've seen in Philadelphia, groups of young African Americans going in packs, terrorizing neighborhoods, popular tourist neighborhoods and so on. Now, you have said when that has happened, you said to these youngsters, you have damaged your own race. What did you mean by that?
That was a couple years ago, and I would suggest that the flash mobs, however they might be described, are certainly not limited to the African American community. We've seen all kinds of folks, kind of going wild. What I meant by that is really comes from a deep-seated training from my parents and grandparents and folks kind of going back many, many years, where you are responsible for how you present yourself out in the community, and that you can hurt the image of your own race by engaging in certain behaviors.
Is it good to evoke dealings in the language of race like that? When you're a mayor for all of Philadelphia, 40% of your population is African American.
Yeah, I understand that. But no matter what title I might have, I'm a black guy from West Philadelphia, part of the city of Philadelphia. And I was speaking to a particular audience and a particular group of folks. And I understand I'm absolutely mayor of all the people, but I was trying to deliver a particular message to a particular group that was engaged in a particular set of behaviors, and I needed to address them.
Tough message you use. You say things to African American males, pull up your trousers, because they like to wear their trousers low without the belt, and nobody wants to see your underwear, you say. You talk about how...
Generally not.
You talk about how their hair is unkempt and they should comb their hair. They should not just limit themselves to the kind of black slang that they use. They should extend their vocabulary. You talk about the fact that whites get out of elevators when blacks go in, or people cross the other side of the street when they see young black males and so on. Are you not buying into racial stereotypes yourself when you use that kind of strong language?
No, I'm speaking the truth. Sometimes you just have to tell the truth, and I have a particular perspective as a young black guy growing up in a neighborhood in Philadelphia. So quite honestly, I get to talk about some things that other people either can't talk about or won't talk about, and I say it in a way that communicates a message to a particular group of folks that if you want a future in the United States of America, then there are certain things that you need to do. You have to go to school. You need to graduate. You should go on to college or university or a trade school and have a set of skills.
Don't get tattoos all over your body or on your face. You've said that
it might make it a little more difficult.
Don't slouch in your chair.
It might make it a little more difficult for you to get a job. So, it's already tough for black men and the African American community in general. The stats that you laid out, over time, black unemployment has generally been higher than the national average. So there are just some things that you have to do or straighten up about.